As if we thought that Caedrel couldn't get any bigger than he already was, he found a way to one-up himself. In 2023, it felt like everything lined up perfectly for him with the Shy popping off on Weibo, his Worlds co-streams just continuing to pop off before he got kicked out of the T1 facility because it was going to be T1 Weibo in the finals. So he has to go to Worlds finals impromptu to do his co-stream there. Already massive moment. In 2024, he overtakes the LoL Esports Twitch account for the most streamed channel during Worlds. Caedrel was the broadcast. His impact was seen everywhere. We'll get into the TikTok culture that surrounded him as well. But now, going into 2025, it's even bigger as he announced Los Ratones. Yeah, I had to go double check to make sure that's spelled right without turning off the camera, because I've got an impromptu makeshift tripod because mine broke and I'm waiting for it to come in tomorrow. But yes, Los Ratones, a content creator, streamer, but also semi-competitive org that's going to have some actually really good players like Reckless, like Crowny, and some others all in the squad. A tier 2 team out of the NRL, which I believe is London or England's specific ERL system, which hasn't been doing all that well as of late. Like the French league has been popping off, but the UK one not so much. But it's going to feature a mix of personalities, but also some really good players, as Reckless notably coming from T1, just from lifting the world's trophy to now playing on Caedrel's team here. And as you can see from the graphic, some really other notable names. And it's way bigger than you might think. Not only are they going to be competing, but they're also going to be doing something that Call of Duty used to do for a long period of time. I don't know if League ever did it, but I know like this is the reason why I became a fan of Optic in the first place, is they are going to be streaming their scrims the entire time. All matches, all scrims, everything. Like everything will be done out in the public setting, which is phenomenal for content. They're going to get so many fans as if they didn't have them already, just because they're being out and open with everything. Now, does this mean that like they're going to promote to the LEC? No. Well, as of right now, there's also no possible way to do that. It's why Caedrel was also interested in doing this in North America, but he didn't know the right people, didn't know the right things per his own account. So it was like, yeah, he's going to stick with Europe and do it that way. But quite honestly, we are looking at another K-Corp situation. I'm dead serious. Maybe not as big. Caedrel has the numbers in terms of popularity online within the League of Legends space, but I don't think he can turn out the in-person fandom that a buy can, which is the nature of like Caedrel being kind of a worldwide thing versus the French fans being the French fans. This will be just another example of the future of esports, which is streamer-led orgs which can develop a fan base and then cultivate themselves into something way more. Something that North America is really, really struggling with. We do have Disguised, by all means, that is doing this, but like Disguised isn't a League of Legends personality. He's broader than that. Now, granted, he's of the size of like Caedrel, Kameto, and Abai. Like he's up there with them, but it's not like he's native to League. The passion for esports might be there, but the passion for League is not matched to what you see from those over in Europe. Which is why I always raise the question of like, why doesn't Dom have a team? Why doesn't LS have a team? LS notably joined up with C9, tried to coach, but since then has health issues. Like understandably he's doing his own thing also with FlyQuest and like trying to help a brand grow that way. But once you get so big as a content creator, it is very hard for me to distinguish you as part of that brand. I don't see LS as like FlyQuest guy, even if he is signed to FlyQuest. If LS started an org, it would be so much more believable that like this is his thing and the thing that he wants to pursue. The same can be said for Doublelift, Meteos, and Sneaky. Doublelift, I think, has burned every single bridge that he has with team owners and with everybody else in the league to the point where like it wouldn't even make sense for him to join someone else. So why not form your own org? Sneaky's kind of doing his own thing. Meteos is still with C9, so I don't see Meteos ever like taking a step back there. It's like we got nobody compared to them, which is more of an indication of like co-streaming in the state of North American content creators before anything else. But why is there this lack of passion? And I think it comes in twofold, because I asked this question on Twitter and Captain Flowers gave a response which I don't know if he necessarily thought was gonna make me think the way I did, but it did. In that the difference between Abai, Kameto, and Caedrel is that while Caedrel did play at the highest level, he didn't have the same career that Doublelift did, obviously. That Dom did, that some of the others did. I mean, well, Dom, I guess, is definitely more in line with Caedrel in terms of like career outlook, but Doublelift being like the exception there of why he wouldn't have an org. Doublelift clearly is just taking a step back from everything. But in order to start an org, you have to have a level of passion for the game still that is unmatched and unwavering. League, to a certain extent, does need to be your life because owning an esports org, much like owning a normal sports org, is just kind of a rich kids club and a money sink to start off with. I'm not denying that portion of it. When I asked why more people don't, the answer obviously is money. It does cost money to do it, but let's not act like these co-streamers and people like that, like they don't have the money to be able to do this. I've seen disguised financials because I bought into the Patreon. I can't say what the numbers are, which, quick note on that, really interesting that they use a cash basis of accounting. I can put the explanation here for you so I don't have to repeat it because I already said it on Twitter. But for my accounting and finance nerds out there, they are a small business. It does make sense that they would use it. I'm just very used to looking at Disney's P&Ls, of which obviously we're accrual basis. So yeah, it was just wild to see. But without going into the numbers, I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, okay, if you're a big enough streamer, that ain't bad. My biggest gripe is that his P&L that he uploads to Patreon is not segmented by business. He has the cost by business, but he does not have the revenue split out by that. So in order for me to see like a LoL esports P&L of how much money would you actually be losing on that, I would have to see that breakout, to which it's not currently there. But I was DMing Marn about this. He's a part of the LCS media, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying this publicly. And Marn, if you do, sorry, preemptively. But we were talking about why that passion seems to be lacking. When venture capitalist money came into League of Legends, I think it shifted a lot of the general public's perception to be like, hey, we need to make money off of this. If you're an owner in League, the only money that you should realistically want to be making off of this, especially given how small it is just making your salary back. And even for like a sports owner in general. When VC came in, everybody was so worried about the valuation of the spots. But the truth is, the valuation of the spots only means something if you have an intent to sell. And me personally, I want people involved in the ecosystem that have no intention to sell until it's time for them to retire and move on with their lives entirely, not just because they want to make a quick buck, which was the biggest problem of franchising. Everybody that came in couldn't give a shit about all of this. It's why almost all the teams that came in during franchising for North America left, and why the teams that were remaining, which were all byproducts of former players, look at G2, look at Team Liquid and Steve, like it was all former players that then would create their own orgs and spin off from there. That passion is what created that first round of teams that stuck with us forever. It went away during franchising and then came back in the form of Kometo, Abai, and now Caedrel as well. We don't have anybody like that in North America, except, I'll raise my hand and say it. If I was in the position of Doublelift, of Dom, or LS, I would 1000% have a team in tier 2 immediately. A lot of my content would be based around that. It's not like you still can't follow pro. You think Caedrel's not going to follow every single bit of LPL that comes out this year and watch their team? Yeah, he's going to see every move that the Shy makes, still make content around it, and still make his normal money and Twitch subs that he does there. But having a tier 2 team now gives him additional opportunities for content while also giving back to the ecosystem that you love by encouraging others to want to play for your team, to raise the awareness and development players for it. I mean, granted, he doesn't have development players in this particular situation. For now, he's at least raising his branding around it. But at some point, it probably will get to that point. It will get down the line. But like, I don't know. Maybe that's just like young sports fan in me, which I know Dom is as well, so it doesn't quite make sense. But Dom has talked about owning a tier 2 team with Yamato, but notably possibly in Europe or a different region. So like, I know he gets it. Like, that's one of the reasons why I've always related to Dom to a certain extent, is because like I know the diehard sports fandom is there. You want to, from a young age, own a team. Like, that's always been the goal. Like, well, every little boy that is a fan of a sports team thinks, man, I wish I could own this or be a part of it in some capacity. Like, we all had that dream. To be able to make money and make your career and earning doing exactly what you love would be great. Now, the owners of sports teams typically get them because they make money elsewhere and then transfer in. Look at Mark Cuban. He made money off the .com bubble, then bought the Dallas Mavericks. Andy Miller buys into ownership of the Sacramento Kings and NRG afterwards. We won't touch on that. But because he made money with Apple as well. SMS texting. But in esports, the pipeline was always you were a former player or former person that could be a personality, a content creator, and that turned you into an owner, which we are now back to that pipeline rather than it just being VC playground. It's always just funny to me when I see NA folks like Ovally coming out here and saying, well, it's a money sink. No shit, it's a money sink. The point is that you have pride in owning it. It's a money sink hobby. I don't waste money on gambling. I spend like $20 a week on alcohol at most. I'm not funding any bad habits. I don't smoke. I don't do anything. But I would drop so much money a month into a League of Legends program if I had the free cash flow. But unfortunately, I don't. It's just passion. Like, I hate to keep using that word and sounding redundant, but we do not have enough passionate people about esports, LoL esports specifically, in North America to push the envelope and to push that button, which is tragic because that's the big difference between why Europe is still taking off despite having the same results as North America, and North America is sitting here being like, man, I hope we have over 6-figure viewership when this thing comes back. But one thing is for certain. Watching the rise of Caedrel has been phenomenal over the last few years. This was the first time during Worlds where I was seeing consistent content on TikTok as girlfriends and wives were recording videos of their husband watching Caedrel streams of Worlds, and they're getting 30, 40,000 likes a piece on TikTok. Caedrel's social impact on League of Legends is unmatched worldwide. I'm really curious to see how that compares to K-Corp, though, because I'm calling it now. Caedrel's brand, Team Ratones, is going to be massive in a few years. It is going to be worth its weight in gold, especially as they finally develop merchandise and have more things that they can pump out that fans will buy into. Because Caedrel's fans, I'm telling you, they will drop a hefty penny on his merch and his things, which will make that team profitable. And as long as it's break even for Caedrel and he's not losing any money on it, then it's a net value add to him, let alone the events and everything else that will eventually start driving a profit for him. So watch out. Caedrel's time of taking over esports is only just beginning. Now somebody in North America step the hell up so we can finally match him.